What happens when you add or subtract outside the grouping symbol? Which way does it go? Up or down? Okay. So anytime you're adding and subtracting, you're either up or down. What about add or subtract inside? Now we're going to go left to right. What about multiply outside? What does that do? Vertical, either stretch or shrink. How do you know which one's which?
Outside?
If it's outside, but what is the stretch or shrink? How do you determine if it's stretch or shrink?
A is greater than 0 when it's a stretch, and A is or 1, right? And A is
Between 0 and 1. Good. No, you're almost there. Multiply inside. What kind is that? Horizontal. And it's either a stretch or shrink depending on the same type of criteria, except for they're switched around, right? And then shrink. When you report the horizontal shrinks, if I could spell shrink right now. When you report the horizontal shrinks, what do you do? If it had a multiply by 3 on the inside, for instance, when you'd say that that's a horizontal shrink by 3, or would you say by a third? By a third. When you're horizontal, remember you flip it over. Same thing with the adding and subtracting when you're going right and left. Remember, it's the opposite of whichever way you're going. Then what's the other thing I'm missing? Okay, so if there's a negative on the outside, that's a reflection over what? Over x. And then a negative on the inside is reflection over the y. Okay, so all that stuff, that's not new. Remember when I had that thing up there where I had like a negative sign, then I had a shadow box, and then I had a parenthesis, and then a negative sign and a shadow box and an x? All that stuff's the same. The only difference is I'm going to now change the parent. The only ones I'm going to give to you today are exponentials. I am not going to give you any logs today. That's tomorrow. I'm going to just give you exponential ones. Okay? So, here's what they're going to do. It's going to say f of x equals 1/2 to the x. G of x equals 1/2 to the x minus 4. And what they want you to do is, they want you to tell me what transformation took place from f to g. So from the left side to the right side, what happened? How'd you know it was down 4? Because it's a negative on the outside, right? Down 4. Good job. Now, what if I asked you to graph those? Could you do it? How would you be able to graph them? They're all exponential, so can you put them in your calculator? Absolutely. When you put them in your calculator, what would they look like? Well, first of all, knowing what we talked about a little bit the other day when it came to graphing exponentials, when the base number is less than 1 but greater than 0, that's an exponential decay. So therefore, that's coming down the mountain this way. Okay? But then when it says down 4, remember we talked about this the other day where it said up 1, and that's where the number always went through? It was at the 1? Well, now subtract 4 from that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it's going to look the same except for it's going to be down here. Is that what you guys see for those of you who typed it in? Okay. What do you think?
Is this all we have to do?
For the most part, yeah. Okay. Now the next one that they're going to throw at you, now I'm going to change the base to f of x equals e to the x. Where's e at again on your calculator? Second in the ln button. Over on the left hand side. Then g of x is going to equal e to the x plus 3 plus 2. Now this is where we need to communicate a little bit. Let's deal with the 2 first, because that's the easiest one. What should I do with the 2?
Up 2.
Up 2. Okay, because that's on the outside. Now, the other thing is the plus 3. When it's inside the exponent like that, or it's up with the exponent, that's considered inside the grouping symbol. Okay? That's the part that a lot of people mess up, because there isn't a grouping symbol that I've actually written there. But when it's in the exponent, it's inside the grouping symbol. So when it's a plus 3 on the inside, which way should it move? To the left, how far?
3.
3. So, just so that we know, e to the x should look something like this, because that's a growth formula. But if I go up 2 from this spot, 1, 2, and I go left 3, 1, 2, 3, I know that it's actually going to hit up here now. So it should look something in that vicinity. Okay, that's what it should look like when I put e to the x plus 3 plus 2. Now, when you're typing that in your calculator, I want you to be extremely careful. Okay? When you're typing e to the x plus 3 plus 2, depends on the age of your calculator. Like Bryce's, when you guys have your 83s, they're a little bit older. So when you go second ln to get that e, your e automatically does that little caret. Then you would type x plus 3 and then close it and then plus 2. On the newer ones, like the one that Abby has up here with her color screen ones, it will go e, and then when you hit e, it gives you the shadow box up in the top, right? Then you would type x plus 3, and then how do you get out of the exponent? Right arrow, and then you go plus 2. Okay, so be careful with that. All right, when you're typing it in, that's my one comment about that. Now, the only way that you're ever going to notice if there's a multiply to it are if the bases somehow change, which they shouldn't change, or if they actually show you a multiplication to it. Okay, like something like this would be an example of that. So if I said f of x would be equal to 3x, or 3 to the x, sorry, and g of x equals 3 to the 3x minus 5. So what changed? Okay, it became a 3x minus 5 instead of an x.
A reflection on the y-axis.
No reflection in there.
Horizontal.
We have a horizontal something. Shrink by what? 1/3. Remember, when you're inside the horizontal, this is the 3 that they're referring to. That's the horizontal shrink. So therefore, when it's got a 3, then when you report it, you put by 1/3. Okay? Then what? And write 5. Now, as far as what it looks like, 3 to the x, first of all, is an exponential growth problem. So that should come up here something like this. Now, if I'm going to go right 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So first of all, it's going to hit here. And if I shrink it, what's that going to do? If I push it this way, what should it do to the graph? Make it go up faster, right? So it's going to ride alongside here and then all of a sudden take almost like a 90-degree turn there. Okay? Now again, all these graphs, you guys are really good with your calculators. Can you get them off of your calculator?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so you don't necessarily need to make a table of values for these as long as you describe the transformation that takes place. Tell me what's going on, and then draw it. What do you think so far? That's like 2/3 of your assignment is just like that. Okay, make sure you cover all your bases. Then, the last thing that's going to happen is it's going to say words for you like, here's the parent 2 to the x. And I have a reflection over the x-axis. Followed by a translation 4 units right. Okay. So where does the reflection on the x-axis go? Does that go inside the grouping symbol or outside the grouping symbol? Where would outside be for this? In front of the 2, right? So my new one would be negative 2. And then as far as the right 4, where does right 4 go? Minus 4. Is it in the x or is it on the down with the x? So minus 4. And done. Do you remember doing those where you had to write the equation? Just put the information in and see what you get. Are you guys comfortable with those? What's the difference between this and one of the ones that we dealt with quadratics or square root or absolute value or linear? Nothing. The only difference is now it's a different parent. But as far as the process goes, it's the same thing you guys have been doing how many times for me? A lot. Okay, so you guys should be comfortable with it. What do you think? Do you want me to do any more? No? Okay. And then, like I said, tomorrow, all the ones that you're going to have today are just going to be exponentials. Tomorrow, we'll have the log ones. Log ones are shorter than the exponentials. And then on Monday, you guys will have a review assignment. Tuesday, we'll go through everything. Wednesday will be your test over 6.1 and 6.4. Okay? Just so everybody knows. So on page 6, nope. We're not that high yet. 322 to 323. We're 3 to 24 multiples of 3. So do you know what that means? Good. And 35 to 37.